Okay, so you're probably asking yourself, who is that awesome girl with the fab fashion sense? Gross! That's not even a girl! Over here! That's me!
Star vs. the Forces of Evil. The popular Disney series Star vs. the Forces of Evil had a missing pilot for some time, which wasn't expected to be found. When I talked about it in episode 6, all that was known was that it was produced in 2012, and there were some stylistic differences, such as some characters having different colored clothes, and the original pitch pilot being off of the show's actual title by one word. The one big difference between the two was the concept. In the pitch pilot, Star only thinks she has magic powers, whereas in the final show she actually does. I said in episode 6 that it's probable that Disney would not let the full pilot release, but in fact, it actually has since then. The leaks slowly came from 4chan, meaning no one really knows who's responsible for finding the lost pilot. Nickelodeon Wildlife Rescue. This series of Nickelodeon Flash games was designed in the early 2000s, and varied in theming. Players would act as rangers nursing sick and injured animals to health. There were 2 of these games based on the Wild Thornberrys, and one of them based on the Rugrats. The gameplay didn't really vary much between them, as they were all basically reskins of the same template. Eventually the third game was made available for purchase on BigFish.com, which, if you're paying money for a Flash game, what are you doing? But because they made the third game available for purchase, it means that the other 2 are now completely lost, besides a few screenshots.
It has been an honor to have served you for these past 8 years, but now I must say goodbye.
Governor, will you be returning to your life as a movie star?
No, Larry. I've had a great career, as you know, as a bodybuilder, as an actor, and as a politician. Now I'm going to be a private citizen once again. I won't be back.
The Governator. For some of the younger viewers watching out there, you may not know that Arnold Schwarzenegger was once the governor of California. He was in fact the last Republican governor of the state. After his governorship, a comic book and cartoon series called The Governator was planned, as after he left office he planned to get back into the entertainment industry. After details of his affair came out in 2011, the series was cancelled. All that exists today is a trailer, and it's unknown how much more material exists or was made in the first place.
NBC Tuesday, it's the outrageous new hit Let's Make a Deal. The only place where a naked man in a trench coat is a good thing. The all-new Let's Make a Deal, NBC Tuesday at 8, 7 Central.
Let's Make a Deal 2003. The classic game show Let's Make a Deal is one of the most iconic to ever exist. Whether it's the original run or the 2009 version hosted by Wayne Brady, Let's Make a Deal has persisted on American TV for the better part of 5 decades. Most people don't know that a 5-episode run aired on NBC in 2003 to celebrate the 40-year anniversary of Let's Make a Deal, hosted by Billy Bush. This new version was panned almost immediately by audiences who didn't like Bush as a host, and in general, the seemingly low production values brought it down quite a bit. The first 3 episodes are found today, whereas the other 2, while planned to air, never did because of the sharp ratings decline. These 2 unaired episodes are completely lost today. Metallica the Game. In 2005, Black Label Games and Vivendi Universal planned to release an open-world car combat game, which would not have been notable if it weren't for the title, Metallica the Game. As the name suggests, the music from the game would have been by Metallica. It's unknown if it would have been classic songs by the band or if Metallica would compose new music for this game, although most likely it would have been a mixture of the two. The game was internally cancelled in 2004, though the cancellation wasn't communicated to fans until 2010, when it was announced by James Hetfield that there was also a PSP version that was cancelled that fans never found out about. Metallica did release some concept art in 2011, but this, along with a few other materials, is all that's surfaced from this game.
This is The Chamber. Once someone enters, there is no turning back. Tonight, within these steel walls, human endurance will be taken to its very limits.
The Chamber. This game show aired on Fox in the year 2002 and was designed to test human endurance. It was supposed to be like other challenge shows, though far more difficult and demanding. Some of the more demanding challenges included being exposed to very hot and very cold temperatures, and even earthquakes and high-speed wind gusts, all while answering questions. If a player made it through all the challenges, they'd be rewarded with $100,000. The show unsurprisingly had some controversy, with the actual safety of contestants being called into question. In the heat chamber, one player was even trapped inside for some time due to malfunction, though this person thankfully never got injured. ABC even sued Fox over conceptual issues, as The Chamber was very similar to one of their shows called The Chair. Only 3 episodes were broadcast on Fox, and 3 more were produced but never aired. The unaired episodes are still lost 2 decades later. Mike Ditka's Big Play Football. In 1990, the game developer Accolade, yes, that Accolade, planned to localize the Japanese game Quarterback Scramble. The company had a deal with Mike Ditka that allowed his likeness to be used in the game, as he was one of the most famous football coaches at the time. The game was pretty much a reskin, with Mike Ditka slapped on the cover of the box. The original American version, also called Quarterback Scramble, that the game was based on, has had prototypes leaked throughout its existence, but the slightly altered Mike Ditka game has not seen a prototype come out, although it's not like much gameplay-wise would change, as the only major in-game edit was some rabbit ears being removed from the game menu to avoid copyright issues with Playboy. UCLA vs. Houston, 1968. This college basketball game was dubbed the Game of the Century. It was the first college basketball game to be aired on primetime television and was played in front of 52,000 people, which, at the time, was the largest crowd to ever see a college basketball game in person. Regular season and postseason college basketball is largely on TV today thanks to this game, which got a very good reception and ratings. Houston even broke UCLA's 47-game win streak. As for whether the game can be viewed today, TVS, the station that aired the game, destroyed many of the tapes for the sporting events they aired at the time, with this likely being one of them. Only about 30 minutes of viewable footage exists today. Famicom Cycle. It's not often that a physical device ends up as lost media, but with this, that is absolutely the case. As with many of the more outlandish Nintendo properties, they typically only stay in Japan and never get released internationally. The Famicom Cycle is no exception to this. In cooperation with the Kansai Cycle Sports Center, which was a bicycle theme park, 10 Famicom Cycles were created to show off the capabilities of cycle-powered video games, a novel concept for the 80s. The games such as F1 Race were controlled using the pedals, as you'd imagine. In 2009, the display inexplicably vanished, and no one knows where it went after this. No reason was ever given for its removal. Scooby-Doo R-rated version. The 2002 live-action film adaptation of Scooby-Doo was originally quite different to the film that ended up being released. Originally, the film was planned to get a PG-13 rating and was written and directed accordingly. This version was shown to test groups and received an R rating, as some of the moments seemed far more adult than the crew intended. This meant that the crew suddenly did a 180 very late in production, and shot for a PG rating. As a result, many of the scenes that pushed the envelope were either edited or deleted. Some of the edgier scenes stayed intact, such as the Mary Jane character, but it's unknown if the original R-rated cut still exists, though some of the deleted scenes from it can be viewed in the film's trailer.